Welcome back to kick off our Parenting and Education Day. We are talking with Michael Tanner from the Park City School District. He is the Chief Operations Officer with the district, joining us virtually today. Michael, thanks for being here. It's great to see you, great to connect with you. I know last time you were on the show, we were talking more with what ifs and how you would get kids to return to school safely. That was back in the summer, and now here we are. How have things been going?
I have to say we're very pleased overall with the results of our school opening. Our community was resoundingly behind us opening the schools, and we supported their desires to make that happen. And to date, very smooth opening. Minor glitches that we always have at the beginning of the school year, but overall, I think that we've got things under control and moving along very well.
Well, it's good to hear that things are going well. What specifically are you doing within the schools to help keep things from being a problem? Right now, I know there's only 3 cases in the entire school district. That's good news, but you want to keep those from spreading. And specifically with operations and cleaning and sanitation, what type of things are you doing?
Yeah, overall, our strategy is a layered strategy, and we started with this process back in the spring when we we're planning on opening the schools in the fall. And so we put in, again, a number of steps. The sanitation, as you know, just the standard 6-foot spacing. The hand sanitation and face masks are our primary line of defense. But we also have things that we keep the kids together in what we call a cohort, a group of children who will circulate together throughout the day at the elementary level, so that if one of the children gets sick within that cohort, the virus is restricted just to that cohort. And it makes it easy for us to contact trace and let parents know that they might have a problem on their hands. But also we concentrated on a lot of things like enhancing our cleaning schedules in our restrooms. We put in touchless sinks and faucets and toilets in all of our bathrooms so that we can minimize hand contact. We also concentrated very heavily on air quality within the facilities and put in advanced filtration and ionization into our systems, as well as swapping out all of the stale building air during the day and bringing in fresh air at night when the environment will allow for it. And so it's a multi-pronged attack, and it's very much designed to be a multi-layer mitigation system that if one of the steps of the system breaks down, the other steps are likely to catch any virus that might escape through the net that we're set up to catch it.
And I know many people are concerned about socially distancing the kids. How is that going? I know in some schools it's harder than others as you have narrow hallways and many students there. Have they been able to find ways to stay socially distant? And if not, what are they doing?
Yeah, you're right. The physical limitations of our space, these schools when they were designed in the 50s, 60s, 70s weren't designed for social distancing. In fact, they were designed for the opposite of that. But what we've done is we've tried to maximize all of the space that we have in the buildings by using large hallways, underutilized common spaces, gym areas, other large reception areas to spread our children out into. We've also worked within the classrooms to maximize the space by pulling out any unneeded furniture, pushing all the desks out almost to the wall level, and where we can, we try to maximize the number of the spacing between students within the classroom. We're also aided a little bit by the fact that about 15% of our student population decided to attend school remotely, and so that's pushed a little bit, taking a little bit of pressure off of some of our classrooms. But overall, very well. Probably the most challenging at the high school level, where we have 25, sometimes 28 children per classroom. In those cases, we are struggling with the social distancing, but overall, I think we're doing a pretty good job.
I have one student who's attending this district in person, and the first few days were really tough. But after that, things seem to have calmed down in a sense that everyone got used to the new precautions, the new procedures. Are you finding that to be the case, that the more we get into school, as we've been there for a few weeks now, that people are starting to find a good routine and a way to make this work?
Yeah, definitely. In a normal year, school is challenging to get kids out of their summer routines and back into school for the school year. And this year was especially challenging. And nobody likes to wear masks. I don't. I'm sure you don't. I'm sure your children don't. And so it's a struggle to get kids to do that. But I think everyone is settling into that routine. And I tell you, we really have to be thankful for our community here. They're a large part of our mitigation strategy. by ensuring that the kids don't show up to school sick, and that they're wearing a mask, and that they're educated at home in proper mask usage and hand sanitation. And so it's really kind of come together. Our efforts at our building leadership level, the parental support, and all of the pieces kind of came together to make things a little smoother. But like you said, any start of any school year, particularly this year, is going to require some adjustments. But I think over the first couple of weeks, the kids have done a great job, and the parents have certainly supported us in our efforts.
And so far, cases have been able to be kept at a minimum. Now, if a student does come down with a virus, what's the procedure, and who do you need to quarantine? I know there are many students that are under quarantine right now within the district to help reduce spread with those 3 cases.
Yeah, we do have a number of children on quarantine, but it's really an advisory quarantine and a symptom watch. It wasn't really because they necessarily were in direct exposure, but as a course of action, once a child is identified, and incidentally, you mentioned we had 3 cases. We're down to 2 because one of the children was past that 14-day quarantine period. And within that 2, we have a number of children in isolation or in quarantine. But it's a 14-day quarantine period, and it applies to any child who was within 6 feet of the person who was identified with the infection for more than 15 minutes. And so those children will be notified by the school nurse directly with a phone call with directions to contact the county and a return to school date. And so those children will be notified. And anyone else who is within the child's classroom space that may be affected will be notified via a letter, which typically arrives via email from the school.
And I have received a letter, and as a parent, I appreciate the communication and the openness that the school district is having about coronavirus cases. Now, I know this school year is really the focus is COVID-19 and keeping the spread at a very minimum, but as Chief Operations Officer, you're over other safety issues. How are things going on that front? Are there other safety concerns that you have as the school year begins?
Yes, in operations, we manage transportation, we manage food service, and all the physical facility space. So each one of those spaces and their group of employees are critical to our COVID mitigation efforts. I mean, just for example, our food service environment, we had to shift that focus from being a mass serve, kind of get kids in, get them socialized together quick out through and then out to recess, to a more customized version based upon the desires of the school leadership to maintain their mitigation strategy. So we've customized our delivery of food to make it safer and more portable, so that if a teacher wants to take the kids outside for social distancing to eat their lunch, they've got their food in a portable format versus on a traditional tray that you might have thought of. And even things as simple as reducing salad bars and self-help for the children. Again, just a couple examples of how the food service delivery model kind of feeds into our mitigation strategy. Transportation as well. We're trying to get social distancing on the buses, and I'm proud to say that we've been able to maintain that as best as we can within our goals. We also sanitize those buses twice a day, once in the morning and once after the midday run, with a fog of hydrogen peroxide type solution that's very effective against the virus. And so all of these pieces are playing into each other, and I have to say I'm very proud of the team, and the results speak for themselves. So I think we're doing a good job, and the biggest piece is the parental support, educating the kids at home, making sure we don't get a sick child showing up to school. And even the couple cases that we had in their school were the results of exposures away from the school environment, not within the school environment. So we feel that our layered mitigation strategy, along with parental support, are being very effective in controlling things right now within the schools.
Well, Michael Tanner, Chief Operations Officer at Park City School District, we appreciate you joining us today, taking the time to fill in our viewers of everything that's happening with safety, operations, with the school district. We appreciate your entire team. It's mind-boggling the amount of work and everything that you have to consider to make sure the schools are a safe place. So thank you for spending some time with us here on Park City Television. We'll be back on this Parenting and Education Day right after this.